Friends, the flow had to go. But today, more importantly, is the UV Slider Judgment Day. I've gotten to use it for about a year. It's time to update that review. I've gotten to put it through its paces, get a lot of reps on it, and I can give you my full thoughts. Let's get right into that. Almost exactly 1 year ago, Ultraview came out with their first Bowsight to the market. They made releases, they made housings, and this is probably a natural evolution for their product line. So this is their first gen UV slider. Little locking knob, scrolly wheel, very clean, nice package. And you have to appreciate a nice package. Speaking of nice packages, it comes in one of these foam protective cases. And this right here is the original 3-pin scope that came on it. As I transition in and out of what I would call like a little 3D archery season, I put the smaller scope on. That's a benefit. It's nice to be able to swap out. It's nice to have interchangeable scopes, something that you can swap out based on your needs. Before we get too deep into the meat of this review, we should talk about the elephant in the room. The flow had to go. If you're a subscriber, I was rocking long hair, and I said just once in my lifetime I was going to grow it long, and that's what I did. But as we got into the middle of summer, the heat of summer, there was no way I could keep it. There was no way I could keep it. It got so long that even playing sports, like or playing pickleball, running, that kind of thing, middle-aged sports, I had to wear a headband, and even a headband wouldn't keep it out of my eyeballs. So it was time to cut it down, and I've always been a short hair guy. It feels so good to have clean short hair. I figured I'd keep you in the loop. Important stuff. So just really quick here, I wanted you to see these two scopes side by side. You got a large one, more practical for most hunting applications. Also has horizontal pins. Small one, vertical pin, probably more accurate. Seems more accurate for me. If you're really putting accuracy at a premium, could you hunt with it? Maybe. I think most people are still going to lean towards the larger housing. But this actually becomes a pretty important point of the review, so I wanted to show it to you first. I'm actually going to take this sight just right off the bow so I can show you in better detail. All right, let's really get a good look at what we got here. I will say one of the nicest things about what they're doing currently, their sight tape booklet. Really, really nice tapes that go out to as far as like 140 yards on your fastest tape. It's nice that they don't cut you off at 100 yards and your tick marks are cleanly organized. Very, very nice. They do send some spare parts and stuff, which I appreciate. So the meat of what we're looking at here, and I keep showing you this housing because this is the main housing that it comes with, which also lights up, which is a fantastic bonus if you hunt in an area which you can hunt with a light on your sight. There's 3 indicator needles, so you can line up your 3 pins accordingly, individually. Also a nice thing to have. I like that there's an odd colored one right here, so you can separate the two. Lines up with what we see here, green, yellow, green. And if you look at the bottom, you can even see a little bonus pin down there, which is for you tack junkies or whatever that want to go out and shoot long range. To keep this review straightforward today, I wanted to take you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, so hang around because we're going to go through it all. The good. I talked about this briefly, but just basically how this thing is packaged and put together. Very nice package, easy flipper, great wheel. You can feel it, crank on it. Simple override, so if it is locked, you can still move it in the heat of the moment in case something happened. You never know what can happen in the heat of the moment. Horizontal adjustment. You just pop this little wheel out and you click it. I want to make a few clicks for you here. One thing I did want to share with you guys as we head into archery season, if you want to get your grubby little mitts on some archery gear, check out podiumarcher.com. He carries these as well as a lot of other stuff. Discount code TIMC will help you save some money, and it helps support what I do and keep pumping out as awesome of videos as I can. And yeah, let's get right back to it. Even though this sight was perfectly dialed in for me, I'm still clicking on this for you. The clicks are kind of quiet and soft, which, to be honest, I would prefer if they were a little louder, like our traditional metal clicks on like a target sight where you just feel it crack, 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 crack. So that's your horizontal adjustment that moves this side to side and in and out. And I found there to be plenty of horizontal adjustment as well, being able to move this out far enough, which sometimes is a problem on Bowsights, not having enough of your horizontal. I really like having 3 pins as well as 3 tick marks. There are other brands where there's like 3 pins and 2 tick marks. So 3 tick marks, and that's very practical for most hunting. Like you could set your 20, 30, 40. And for a lot of situations, you're just going to kind of be done there. And then the ability to scroll the wheel down a long way. If you can get your 20 near the top. You know, like I can get 130 yards out of my top pin, which is awesome. And this thing has plenty of slide. If, and I say if, you can get your 20 near the top. Because if you can't, I guess that's kind of a good segue into the bad, or the things that I think could be better. So there's a few kind of vertical adjustments you could make. You could manually move your pins, and you could hop in the back here with an Allen wrench, and you could manually move those pins. Now let's say you got your pins where you want them, 20, 30, 40. Then you're going to take it to this, and you have the ability to slide your tape up and down, as well as different sets of screw holes you could put your tape into to give you the adjustment to slide your tape or get your tape into the right direction for the needle. Finally, if you needed another adjustment, you could move this right here on these sets of screws, which is like a macro adjustment, not a micro adjustment. And this would be one thing that I would like to see differently. I would like to see some type of true way you could set your 20 right at the top and be able to independently adjust the height of this. The reason that's important is because if you're in the field and you're like, hey, this animal just moved, you want to be able to slide it right to the top and know you're at 20 without having to futz around with it. And that might sound confusing because as it sits right here, I do have it set up as a 20-0 stop. I kind of got lucky, and I actually had to adjust the height of my peep to get this to match up. All in all, it does match up, but having some type of vertical micro drive similar to the horizontal would be an amazing add to this sight. So you could manually adjust this, similar to like your typical black gold Bowsight where you can just move the housing independent. So you set your 20, then you set your housing to that 20, and then boom, you're at a 0 stop 20. If you can read right here, this says first and second axis adjustment, which basically means that our rail and our bubble are married together. There's no way to independently adjust your bubble from the rail. Having your rail adjustment and your bubble married to each other isn't a bad thing if we exist in a perfect world and everything comes from the factory just right and there's no chance that your bubble would get off. But what if you take their housing and you put on another housing? And what if all of a sudden your bubble sits just like that? Which is kind of what happened to me. So my bubble was just a fraction out of alignment with the center. And I had no way to adjust it. I would like to see an independent adjustment for the bubble. Not because the first and the second can't be manufactured perfectly together, they certainly could be. But what happens when you bump something in the field or you drop your sight and smash it off a log or whatever? A nice adjustment to be able to have, just to be able to twist this bubble independently to make sure we are flush to our rail. It would be awesome to have that. I just worry about that wearing out over the course of time. And I just worry about those clicks wearing out in the course of time because they feel soft. It's just not what I'm used to. I would be curious from all of you watching, if you've ran this sight, what your experience has been and how it's held up during the course of time. Because I've used mine pretty good, but I'd love to hear from you guys and what your experience has been. My two main asks would be having a bubble that we could adjust independently if we needed to, and you may not need to, and then so what? Leave it alone. And having some type of vertical micro drive that kind of complements the horizontal micro drive. If we had some vertical click elevation, that would be a wonderful addition to this. So I think all in all, a very well-designed Gen 1 product. In reviews like these, I think a lot of people always ask, well, is it worth it? And is it worth it is like one of the most complicated questions you could ever ask somebody because everyone's budget is different to them and relative to them. What I would say is for the price point, coming in at the highest dollar value price point that a Bowsight comes in at. There are other Bowsights at a lower dollar value that have similar, or you could even argue, more features. So the amount of money you want to spend is up to you. Ultraview has proven to be a pretty innovative brand. They've definitely put this thing together in a really nice way. And if you want to spend money on it, that is your call. Anyway, I just wanted to share my experience with you. I've been able to put it through its paces, put some wear and tear on it, have a little more perspective than I did last time. I do like to see Ultraview innovating. I'd like to see them keep innovating. It's good to have more brands in the industry that are doing that sort of thing. Oh, battery life. I didn't mention battery life. If you're a person who runs your batteries a lot, you're going to go through some battery life. Keep that in mind. Anyway, I'm going to sign off today. Subscribe to the channel. Leave it a thumbs up. That stuff helps more than you know. And I will catch you back for the next one.